Welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where we took the opportunity of the warm weather and started filling the ponds here. The wolves were spending a fair amount of time up in the upper wood line, trying to escape a little bit of the heat. And again, heat is relative. In summer, they don't have a winter coat, so they might be able to be active in a 70-degree day. But when it's 70 degrees and you've got your full winter coat, they're going to look for the coolest place that they can be, and that's under the shade, up in the woods. So it's our job to make the wolves comfortable, so we started washing the pond and getting it ready, and that brought a little bit of excitement to the pack. And so we saw a lot of play behavior actually between Aidan and Denali, much more engaged with each other than we had previously seen. So a little bit of chasing yet, but they were rolling around in the pond when the water started and getting pretty excited. They were picking up stray things that we found in the pond, and this is a old pig's ear that had probably been there all winter long. Pretty flat, pretty wet, and you can see Aidan guarding Denali, and Denali's kind of backing off there, and Aidan's going to take his pig's ear, go find a nice cool spot to possess it, and then chew on it. And what's interesting is, again, they do use their paws quite a bit when they're feeding on things. They use their paws to hold things, to direct things, to secure things. So kind of an interesting behavior that's wolf-like, but I'm sure everyone who has a dog has seen this behavior as well. So Aidan is continuing to get antibiotics twice a day, and we are not seeing any change in pigmentation, but we expected that it would take several weeks before we may see anything. For Aidan's nose, we are using a sun protector. We're using EpiPet sun protector, and it's the only FDA-compliant sunscreen on the market that we found for dogs. And it is endorsed by the American Animal Hospital Association as well as the SPCA. We always are concerned about any products that we put on individual animals. And this particular brand of sunscreen is safe if licked once it's applied to the animals. So that was real important for us because they do interact and they do will lick each other, and especially if one smells a little bit like vanilla, and that's kind of the odor, the fragrance that it smells like. So this is kind of like a little talcum powder feel to it, and we can either direct spray it on his nose or put it on our hands and rub it on his nose. And so far we're just starting that process. It's not been that sunny in the last 3 days. We've had some rain, so just starting that process and seeing how it's going to work for Aidan. We started cleaning the pond, and we got it washed and pressure washed and cleaned up. But unfortunately, the water line was still frozen underground, so it sat for 3 days without water filling, and that actually happened today. I cleaned it on Tuesday, and it just started filling today on Friday. So they were kind of playing around in the water that was coming in, and you can see Aidan here doing a little bit of a playful stalk towards Denali. He's not in a full crouch of a stalk, but he's definitely going to do a kind of a stalk and chase. And so again, they're excited to see the pond back up and running. Grizzer doesn't have a pond. If you recall, we just have a basically Rubbermaid tub for him, about a 50-gallon tub. We're looking at some possibilities for a concrete design. It certainly won't be as big as the other wolves, but like to try to get something in there for him so he can immerse himself and keep cool. We actually had to put his in last Sunday when temperatures were over 70 degrees, humidity was high, and he was panting quite a bit. So we gave him that tub last week and stayed in there with him until he kind of cooled off a little bit. So as we said, Shadow and Malik got their pond cleaned and filled as well on Tuesday. So that took a little bit of time. We had to guard a few tools. Malik and Shadow both stole the hose, so we had to practice a little bit of our guarding posture, which means that we stand over it and we possess it, and that keeps them at a distance from us. And you can see here I'm actually demonstrating that technique with the scat bucket. I'm filming while I'm collecting scat in here and just giving him a clear message that I'm possessing that space. And you'll notice, different from when I just have the camera, he's watching, he's respectful, but he's backing off and he's staying out of that work area. That's something critical that we make sure that the pups understand when they're young. Scat buckets are not an interaction time with staff, and the reason why we do that is when we want to bring new staff into the adult wolves, enclosures, we have to be able to have some kind of a safety network, and that safety network is the wolves' conditioning to respect the scat bucket and to stay away from the scat bucket. So we've started cleaning some of the straw off the top of the den to give them a cool spot to lay, but because we've had some rainy weather in the last couple of nights, we've left straw inside the den so that they can seek some comfort and refuge out of the kind of the damp weather. Once we start getting temperatures on a regular basis above 50 degrees at night, then we'll be taking all the straw out, and in the spring and summer we actually switch to wood chips. And wood chips, again, keep them clean, but the secondary thing that wood chips do is provides a little bit of bug repellent, especially if we use cedar, and don't have too many issues with ticks, but we do have some of the annoying flies, and that actually helps as a natural fly repellent. That cedar oil works pretty well. So here we'll end this YouTube with Shadow looking around and going to do his kind of a precursor to howling. He's in and out of the den. Again, we did leave straw inside the den, so when it's raining, he's inside. But he's typically on top of the den. And here you see, again, that same behavior, lifting the head up like he's going to howl. He's alert, listening to what's going on. Raven sounds, Oscar sounds, people at the freezer. There's a lot of things going on. And then we'll let you listen to him howl. We end this YouTube for the photo from Tessa, a 6-year-old girl who is the granddaughter of one of our beaver trappers who provides us beaver carcasses for the wolves. She's always had a love for animals, and especially wolves, and she is something of a budding artist and often draws wildlife scenes in her spare time. Her mom had sent us this in an email, and she wanted to share this with you when she picked up a flyer at the Wolf Center. It had a picture of one of our wolves on the front. She sat down and carefully drew the wolf's portrait, and this is what you're seeing is Tessa's drawing, and we'd want to thank Tessa for that drawing. And we also end with a picture of Oscar. This was taken from inside the building from a visitor who was enjoying the observation windows, and you can see the reflection of Denali in the window and Oscar in a full leap towards the wolves, showing that excitement that he has for being next to the wolf exhibit. So that's it for YouTube. Thanks for watching. See you next week.